Welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily MCQ Practice. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs through a set of 4 to 5 MCQs. The idea behind this lecture series is very simple. You see, we want you to cover your current affairs thoroughly because current affairs form a very important portion of your prelims examination. Around 40 to 50% of the MCQs are directly or indirectly related to current affairs. Therefore, you need to cover current affairs thoroughly and you cannot choose to ignore them. And what better way to cover current affairs for prelims than by getting the much needed MCQ practice from them on a daily basis? Because if you'll make this lecture series a part of your daily routine, well, these 4 to 5 MCQs covered on a daily basis would add up to more than 1200 MCQs. And ask any successful aspirant and they'll tell you that for prelims, 1200 MCQs from the topic of current affairs alone are more than sufficient. So, needless to say this, but I'll still say it. Make this lecture series a part of your daily routine, make it a daily habit of yours. Alright, let's begin today's session starting with question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding Livestock Health and Disease Control Program. The revised version of this scheme also includes Pashu Aushadhi scheme, which provides generic veterinary medicine. The scheme supports doorstep delivery of livestock healthcare through mobile veterinary units. Generic veterinary medicine shall be distributed through PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendra. Okay. So look, government had earlier launched livestock health and disease control program. The thing is that animal rearing or livestock rearing forms a very important component of agricultural sector. But the thing is that most of our animals are not that productive. Our cattle is not that productive, poultry is not that productive, and many other animals which are used for domestication. Okay. The reason for their low productivity is that they are mostly infected with dangerous diseases, which declines their productivity, especially in case of cattle. Well, if they are diseased, then they won't release that much milk and that would really harm dairy farmers. Okay. So therefore, for all the livestock in our country, government launched Livestock Health and Disease Control Program. Now, this was launched a few years back, but recently government launched a revised version of this. Okay, and in this revised version, Pashu Aushadhi scheme has been included. Okay, now what is Pashu Aushadhi scheme? You must have heard about Jan Aushadhi scheme. So Jan Aushadhi scheme is a scheme under which generic medicines, because generic medicines are a little cheaper than branded medicines. So generic medicines shall be provided to all individuals in India, all citizens, through different government hospitals. Now, on the same lines, you have launched Pashu Aushadhi scheme. Okay, so under Pashu Aushadhi scheme, generic veterinary medicines, which are generally cheaper for these livestock farmers, okay, they shall be provided. So this part is correct. Plus, for livestock healthcare, mobile deliveries, mobile vans shall provide doorstep delivery of services, healthcare services for animals. So this part is also correct. Now, these generic veterinary medicines through Pashu Aushadhi scheme shall be distributed all over the country through PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendra and cooperative societies in India. Different well-established cooperative societies in India. So basically, the coverage of this Pashu Aushadhi scheme would get enhanced. So this part is also correct. All three statements are correct. The correct answer is C. Question 2. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the biogeographic Wallace line? It is an invisible biogeographic barrier that differentiates the biodiversity of Australia and Pacific Islands. It runs between the islands of Bali and Lombok, striking north between Borneo and Sulawesi before curving south of Mindanao. The line was formed after the collision between Australian plate with Asian plate. Okay, so look, there was this 19th century traveler, British traveler, Arthur Wallace, and while he was traveling from Asia towards Australia on sea, well, he observed that the biodiversity of both these continents, Australia and Asia, well, they're drastically different. And this difference appears, well, after this invisible line. So let's suppose this is Asia, and over here you'll find Australia. Okay, So he found that just as he crosses this line, well, the animal biodiversity drastically changes. In Asia, you'll find tigers, elephants, and different types of animals. While these tigers and elephants are completely absent in this part, on this side of this invisible line. Okay? While these two regions, the islands on this side and the island on this side, are just 20 kilometers apart, yet their biodiversity is drastically different. In the Australian side and the surrounding islands, you will find marsupials like koalas, kangaroos. While these koalas, kangaroos are absent on the Asian side, despite the fact that there is just very little distance of 20 kilometers between them. Okay? Now, this invisible biogeographic barrier is known as Wallace line. And it is an invisible biogeographic barrier that differentiates the biodiversity of Australia and Asia, not Pacific Islands. So this part is false. Okay. Now this Wallace line runs between islands of Bali and Lombok and striking north between Borneo and Sulawesi before curving south of Mindanao. Okay, this part is correct. Now the reason why there is such a stark difference beyond this line is because Australia was once part of Antarctica. When Australia separated from Antarctica through continental drift, okay, you must have heard about continental drift theory. If you have not, then you will hear about it when you'll be studying geography. So once this Australian plate started drifting, it collided with the Asian plate. And because of that collision, deep water channels, well, they appeared. This trapped the biodiversity that was there in Australia, okay, and the biodiversity that was there in Asia was trapped over there. So there was no intermigration between these two continents, and because of that, millions of years later, animals on Australian plate evolved differently, and kangaroos and marsupials appeared, and animals on the western side of this Wallace line, Asia, they evolved through evolution differently, and tigers and elephants appeared. Okay, so this part is also correct. Only 2 and 3 D. Question 3. Consider the following statements regarding Parvatmala Pariyojana. It is a national ropeway development program launched in 2022-23 with a budget of 1.25 lakh crore. The project is being implemented by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. The project shall be implemented through PPP, Public-Private Partnership mode, under Build, Operate, Transfer toll model. Which of the above statements are correct? So look, it is a national ropeway development program where remote mountainous regions shall be connected through cable cars, ropeways. Okay, and its budget is this much. That's absolutely correct. It is being implemented by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. But the thing is, all these ropeway projects shall be implemented through PPP mode. That means public-private partnership. But the partnership or the contract between government and private players shall be based on hybrid annuity model, not BOT toll model. Okay, hybrid annuity model. So this part is false. 1 and 2 are correct. A. Question 4. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Jaipur Declaration regarding circular economy? It was the conclusion of 12th Regional 3R and Circular Economy Forum in Asia and Pacific. The forum was organized by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Cities Coalition for Circularity was launched under Jaipur Declaration. So look, there is this annual summit or annual forum that is conducted every year, and it is a regional forum, and it is known as 12th Regional 3R and Circular Economy Forum in Asia Pacific. Now, this year, it was organized in Jaipur, and the conclusion of this summit is known as Jaipur Declaration. Okay? Now, to know what this summit was all about, you need to know what circular economy is. Look, urban areas in our country generate a lot of waste, and that waste pollutes the environment. So, basically, we want to reduce the waste generated, so we want to reduce our consumption. Then we want to increase reuse of certain items so that we don't throw them away. And we need to improve recycling. These 3 R's are known as 3 R's of circular economy, and hence this forum is known as Regional 3R and Circular Economy Forum. Okay, so Jaipur Declaration was the conclusion of 12th Regional 3R Circular Economy Forum of 2025. Absolutely correct. Now, this forum was organized in India not by Ministry of Environment but Ministry of Urban Affairs and Housing and Urban Affairs. Okay. So this statement is false. Now, in Jaipur Declaration, well, a agreement was basically agreed upon. Okay, it is known as Cities Coalition for Circularity. So all the major cities of the countries who participated in this forum, well, these cities would collaborate so that they can introduce circular economy in their cities and learn from each other, cooperate basically. So this part is correct. 1 and 3 are correct. The answer is C. And last, but definitely not the least, consider the following statements regarding space debris. Kessler syndrome is a scenario where space debris collisions create more debris, leading to a chain reaction that could make Earth's orbit unusable. Project Netra is an ISRO project to track and detect space debris. UN COPUOS is a legally binding treaty that calls for safe disposal of satellites. Now, you see, what is space debris? Well, Earth's orbits are, well, littered with so much satellite generated waste because we have the technology of launching satellites, but we don't have good technology. Plus, at a mega scale, we don't have good technology to bring these satellites back. So they float around the Earth in Earth's orbit, and sometimes they dismantle on their own. Their different spare parts just are floating and rotating around the Earth in the Earth's orbit. Now, so many satellites have been launched, so many space missions have been launched, and this has created the problem of space debris. Now, too much space debris will basically increase the cost of and make these future space missions vulnerable because already this dismantled satellite material, this debris, is traveling around the Earth at very high speeds. Okay, and if it hits, even if a small nut at this speed, small nut bolt at this speed hits a big satellite, it will dismantle the entire satellite. Okay, therefore the entire Earth's orbit is now becoming, there is too little space left for future space missions. Okay, so removing this space debris is very important. Now in 1980s, a NASA scientist, Donald Kessler, projected or predicted a scenario in which one small satellite spare part will hit a big satellite. That big satellite would get destroyed, it would dismantle and create more space debris, and a chain reaction would be created which would destroy all the satellites in Earth's orbit. Okay, this is a real phenomena. That is why cleaning space debris is very important. Okay, so this part is correct. Now, ISRO and many space agencies around the world, they have launched their own missions to protect their satellites from space debris. So, ISRO has Project Netra, a project to track and detect space debris. Absolutely correct. Now, the problem with space debris is that this space debris affects all the countries. But removing this space debris is not a responsibility of any one particular country. Okay? No country is taking responsibility of this space debris. Plus, there is no internationally legally binding treaty to remove. All right? No internationally legally binding space treaty. So that is why no country is basically well, making or doing something to remove space debris or cooperating on it. Now, UN COPUOS is definitely a treaty that calls for safe disposal of satellites, but it's not legally binding. Okay, so this statement is false. 1 and 2 only. The answer is A, and that's all. With that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you revise this lecture as well. And what do I mean by this revision? We'll spend another 5 to 10 minutes going through written detailed solutions to each and every MCQ discussed above. Now, you can find written detailed solutions in our notes, and the notes for this lecture are available on our Telegram platform. When you find our Telegram platform, well, just below this video in the comment section, you'll find a link. Just click on that link, it'll take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes for this lecture and do the necessary revision. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.